All right, I'm going to go over the process of how to, say, take a model that has no skeletal rig and then get it to use the Mani rig setup. The retargeting system sometimes works, sometimes doesn't work. It's been running its issues. I think this technique should hopefully work 100% of the time because it's using a different process. So I found this character off of Fab. As you can see, it's just a static mesh. I've also, I think Mani's in here, so you can see Mani's here. If you so I want you to export both of them so to make sure they're the same size with at least within Maya. So when you bring them in together, everything should be fine. If you line them up now, it should also probably be good. But I just like doing it in Maya because we're going to be rigging it also in Maya too. So there's sometimes the scale with how things are exporting may not be the exact same, but they 9 times out of 10 should be through Unreal. But just if you do it this way, it should be good. So you do the same process with Mani. When you're exporting out of Unreal, bring the character in and make sure everything is zeroed out, because if it's not zeroed out, it will be in that same position in Maya, so it'll be hard to find. So if the character is selected, I'm going to go File, Export Selected, and as you can see, I was already kind of just testing this a little bit. Let's call this one Boy. Everything with default should be fine. If I hit Reset Default, a few things get turned on. But I don't think in a sense, we don't need the export morph targets, and we don't, we'll just leave the other ones on there too. So let's hit export, should work. So let's go into here, I'm gonna open scene, Boy, I'm not gonna save. And it will eventually get there. All right, as it's going, I'm just gonna pause it. All right, it finally opened up and it has the shell on it. So this is the collision. So I think not having the collision check probably would work, but you just need to delete it. So there's the Boy size. Now let's import, or actually I'm going to reference it in so there's no data for this character. So I'm going to go create reference. All right, let's go to my old folder. Let's bring in Mani. And you can see the Boy is smaller. So let's scale the Boy up so it matches at least about the same size. Excellent. And then I can go to File, Reference, Editor, and remove the reference. So we have the scale that I want. I'm going to select the character. I want this to be all zeroed out. So modify freeze transformations, and everything's now nice and clean. Let's make it even cleaner. Delete all by type, history, and then let's export them out. Default should be fine. Boy, I'm going to call it Geo. Version 001, in case we have to do this again. All right, the Boy's been exported. Now let's jump back over. Now let's jump onto here. We're going to be using Advanced Skeleton, but first we're going to go into Mixamo. Let me log in, and after I'm done doing that, I'll restart this. All right, so I'm in. I want to upload a character, and that will be the Boy Geo. It's almost done. So Mixamo, as you can see, there's a bunch of animation in it, but it also has a rigging setup that will connect to all these animations also. we're not going to be using these animations. We're going to be using the Manny one to make it just so you can hit and play and start running around. All right, let's pause the video, let this go. All right, now we have the boy. So if there's anything weird with it, you can kind of move things around, but everything is fine with it. So you can kind of like rotate it if it's not pointing straight at us. I suppose we'll flip it up and, yep. Okay, next. So just place it as is. Chin, I put right in between the lip and the bottom of the chin. Wrist goes to wrist, of course. And that little side space, that's nice. Knees. And the groin. Right in the middle. And as you can see, if your character is unsymmetric, you can just uncheck that and move these into the right spots. But he's symmetrical, so it works just fine. And then, so you can reduce the fingers and stuff like that. I'll use it as is though. Hit next, and it rigs it. So about 2 minutes. All right, looks like it's done. Let's hit next. And then we can pick an animation. And the character's rigged. Excellent. Right. I'm just trying to remember how to, let me do, I don't want to, let's hit download. So we don't need the animation, so we just need cancel. All right, give me a moment. I gotta figure out how to get out of the animation. All right, well, I had to redo it again because I was trying to back up. And so I was playing the animation. All I needed to do after checking the animation, just do T-pose and put him back in the T-pose. Oops. All right, well, everything's good. Now we want to download the character. We don't really need any. Yeah, keyframe doesn't really matter. So let's download the character. Looks like I put it in my download folder. I'll cut that, and I will put that into here. Let's rename it. Boy Rig 001 Mixamo. So I know that's the Mixamo rig. Now we can jump into Maya and open up that rig. Don't need to save. And now the character's rigged. If we go in here, we can see bones that we can move around. Yay! All right, so that's how we can quickly rig a character using Mixamo and their setup. The next setup I wanted to talk about is Advanced Skeleton, but I'm going to end the video here at this stage.